Hello.
No, that's so shitty.
Hi,
Alison Brie is here.
Allison, so good
We
to
got
see
all the
you.
dirty stuff out. Like I got, like me and Jimmy are old pals, and we had to get dirty for a few
I
minutes.
want to talk about dirty stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome to.
And you guys are promoting, by the way, Glow. We haven't mentioned it, available on Netflix this Friday, and it's really good.
It is good.
It's really good.
Yeah, especially because I'm a big wrestling fan, and a lot of wrestling fans are excited about it, but they're also like, if you don't do wrestling right,
Well,
then the wrestling fans get very, very upset.
Well,
they
I
had-
know. We were a little nervous about that ourselves. But we trained with Chavo Guerrero Jr., who is a pro
gonna ask.
wrestler and from a wrestling legacy.
You
His
know, the
father was a
Guerreros, of
pro
course. Yeah,
wrestler.
yeah.
Yeah, it's major. So he was a real, obviously, the expert on everything and taught us the moves and nomenclature. And really also when we would bring in moves and be like, look at this cool move, let's do that. And he'd be like, no, that move was not invented till 1994.
Oh, that's great.
We can't do that on this show.
Because I was watching, because when you did like a top rope thing with that, I was like, oh, this is where I'm going to be out because I'm going to know. But it wasn't. It wasn't like a
was legit.
90s top rope thing. It was an 80s top rope thing, and I was like, yes.
Chavo is the best. It was really good. And Chavo's uncle, Mondo Guerrero, trained the original women of Glow.
Right.
So that's like
That's
a
amazing.
cool connection.
That's fantastic.
Did you get hurt at all doing it?
No, because they were really good about safety with us. And we also had a stunt coordinator, Shauna Duggins, who was there throughout all our training and every day of shooting. And her main job was to sort of break down the moves for us and like help us to be able to do them for hours on end. Basically.
But you did learn how to bump?
Oh yeah, all we did was bump all day, every day.
That's awesome.
Front bump, back bump.
Yeah, that's good. Because I read that you didn't use stunt doubles. So I was watching you take like front bumps, and I was like, no.
Oh yeah,
that's somebody
man.
else.
What's a front bump?
A front bump is just basically slamming your full body face down onto the mat. And a back bump is slamming on your back.
Yeah.
That's great.
How do you do that without slamming your face and hurting yourself?
Well, you sort of more land on your chest and your arms are out at the same time, and it's all about like dispersing your weight so
Right.
everything's hitting at the same time. It's like your thighs are taking more of it, even though you're all landing at once. And on your back, it's the same, where it's like flat back, chin tucked, your whole back hits at the same time, your arms hit at the same time, so you're sort of like helping,
great.
pushing yourself off.
It's so funny you're
A little
doing this.
bit.
Isn't it fun?
It was amazing.
Ask me more about wrestling moves. Yeah, it's weird that
So
I'm
great.
a weird authority on this
Did you
now,
not-
which I'm not.
Did
at
you
all.
not tuck your chin in the beginning? Because if you don't tuck your chin
You're
when you're doing a
fucked.
bump, your head snaps back. And
Did you ever try any of the moves?
No, I
Just
mean
a fan.
I've gotten in the ring for like, a minute or two. They'll teach like an indie promotion would teach me how to do one thing just for
Right.
like a little spot,
Right.
and then I would just run away or something.
It was wild to watch them all do it. Like I'm the only guy really, for the most part.
You play the manager?
And you don't do any wrestling.
I don't do any wrestling. But here's the thing is, like, I got the part. It was sort of a fluke in a way. Like I'd finished Maron, and then I got sent this script for this guy. This kind of like down and out film director dude with a cocaine problem and divorces, and I'm like, I could be this guy. I've been this guy. Yeah.
I'm still
And
kind of this
I
guy.
went out, and I rarely get opportunities to audition for anything, but I
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to do it. I went down to the eyeglasses place where I know the ladies. I got some aviator frames. I put on a Lacoste shirt. I had my little personal trainer woman, who's also an actress, read Allison's part. I had my
Nice.
part-time assistant shoot it on the iPhone because they weren't looking at people in L.A.
You
and I sent the
cared.
tape in, and I got it off of that.
Wow.
Wow. Off the tape?
Yeah. And when they told me that the guy knows nothing about wrestling, I'm like, great. I'm not going to do any research at all. So all I
Method.
knew, and I'll tell you this story because it's funny, and is like I knew who I wanted this guy to be. I knew he needed aviator glasses.
What are aviator glasses?
Just the Ray-Ban style.
Oh,
that,
okay.
Like those
it's
big
a frame
80s,
style.
the
that,
frames,
And
yeah.
they're kind of timeless,
Yeah.
But show the Sam picture. It's up a little more. There was one of go down. It was me and Stan Lee next to me. Go down. I thought I saw one.
Yeah, I saw one.
Yeah, but there it is on the right there with the cigarette. Down the
Far
lower right.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Oh,
Stan Lee,
okay.
and that's me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are aviator frames.
Sure.
But see, like I knew the guy. They told me I could smoke.
You look great.
They told me I could smoke, so I knew I needed a flip-top box. And the guy had a cocaine problem. So I told the women who created the show, Carly and Liz, are like complete nerds, you know, and they're in their mid-30s, but they're nerdy women, and they know that. I'm not saying anything mean. So I went up to them, and I said, look, all right, this guy with the coke, he doesn't share it. He doesn't deal with vials. He only deals with bindles, like squares cut from magazines. And when he does it with a key or a pen top. And they're both looking at me, and Carly says, we're so glad you're here.
You really went method. That's amazing.
Well, I knew exactly what this guy was.
Mark is the
great.
authority on cocaine usage in the 80s.
Cigarettes.
That's why the
Did you
show
still
is
smoke, or did you
authentic.
start for this?
No, those are fake cigarettes. And, you know,
Oh.
because of the lozenges, which I'm still hopelessly addicted to, even when I smoke those, I don't ever feel like going back.
Well, isn't it weird? It's like herbal in those. It
fucks
doesn't
with you.
taste the same.
It's weird, and it doesn't burn the same, and it smells.
But it does give you a little head thing.
It started to bother me.
Yeah.
do
Like
have
that
fake-
scene we shot in the car.
Yeah, and
where
we were.
I was midway through a cigarette. You know, you start a scene midway into a cigarette, and then you got to do a bunch of takes, so you got to puff it down.
And by the way, my character who does not smoke at all, Mark and I campaigned to have me take a puff of his cigarette in the scene, and we really sold it to the director and our writers and Liz and Carly, and everyone's like, all right, yeah, do that in the scene. And then, of course, an hour into shooting the scene, I was like, why did you make me? Now I have to smoke this fucking cigarette
We're in that
all
car.
day in that car.
I didn't know they had
So
fake
long.
cigarettes. That's how stupid I am. So these are not real nicotine cigarettes.
No, they're
No.
herbal. They don't have a real effect,
It's
but they
movie
look
magic.
good.
Okay.
But you do inhale them. It can't be good.
Well, yeah, there's still combustion. I'm like, what are you inhaling?
I don't know.
Herbal.
That's a
It
big
sounds-
mystery that no one
questionable.
talks about.
Isn't tobacco like herbal?
got
It comes from the
cancer.
ground.
Everyone's
I feel
just
like-
like totally stoned on set all the time.
Could you imagine those people on Mad Men where they're like, they're just like
That was a lot.
constantly.
You were great
But
on Mad Men.
Thank you.
So
Again,
great.
my character didn't smoke. I think that the Campbells were the only people who didn't smoke, and I was very thankful.
Yeah, you had a nice
Yeah.
clean home.
Yeah, yeah,
Did you like playing something that's kind of falling apart on this show?
yeah.
Yeah, because you don't get to do that much.
No, I don't. I play people that are very put together.
Yeah.
And I like that Ruth is not a perfect person, and I like that she makes like a very big mistake in the first episode, and that sometimes she's a difficult person to root for, but ultimately I hope that people do.
She was genius.
What's wrong
Yeah.
with
to-
Ruth?
Mark.
What's Ruth's
to play
hang up?
to play earnestness, ambition, desperation, and
She's
still
very
be charming.
desperate.
Right.
Like I watched her every day, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this is a complicated character, and you want to not like her, but she's so amazing, you can't not like her.
I like it when Mark talks about the character.
Well,
I do.
I
I
like-
do like it.
It's pretty good.
because
I like
like
your take
people, I
on
think
it.
people misunderstand our dynamic. Like because
Yeah.
I've seen some people write about the first 5 episodes where I'm just this cantankerous, abusive guy. But for me, like
And
right
I'm
when,
very grating, and I'm like, well,
but right
to
when-
me, it's the
right
character.
right when I give you a hard time, I'm like, these guys love each other.
Definitely.
Like-
well, the
like-
other people misconstrue it as romantic, which I
No.
don't think it never
No,
never
just
is.
kindred spirits, just
Yeah,
desperate
they
people.
just sort of
But that also gets
understand
more
each
into it
other.
like later in the season too.
It
Like,
does.
That doesn't start to develop in the first
That's
5
right.
episodes.
It
No,
does.
so
that's
much.
It's like
true.
episode 6.
Yeah.
I think it really kind of.
But I do think they drive each other a lot as characters, and
Yeah.
they do have a common goal, which is like they both want this show to be a success more than anyone, maybe.
Once I realized what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
got
at
choked up
first-
all the time. It just like
Really?
it was ridiculous.
Wow.
Like it's just like there were scenes where I'm doing this guy and I'm showing up emotionally for her character, and I'm not a professional actor, so I really show it up, and like I feel like you can't. This is not the time for crying.
Mark is just
great.
like a raw ball of emotion. It's
I
lovely.
kind of am sometimes.
Have you
I
been reading the
know, it's
reviews?
nice.
Well, I get sent to me. I'm
They've
not
all
read
been
good.
really good.
I've read some of them.
Yeah.
I've read them.
You read 'em?
There's always I'm like, I don't read reviews and I don't care about reviews. Oh, the reviews are good.
Isn't it funny how nobody during a good review says critics don't know what they're talking about?
yeah.
Those bastards like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, smart people.
Yeah, an authority on quality, EW. I would check them out.
Are you
Look it
guys
up.
playing real
great.
people? I know the situation is real, but are you actually playing a real?
No, and it's important to note that because none of the lives of these characters are real. They're all fictitious. So it's more just taken off of the premise of Glow, and there
Sure.
are real things about it. The fact that the women who auditioned for Glow, the women wrestlers who were on Glow, were not wrestlers. They were similar to us. They were actresses who were just at different places in their life and auditioned for this random wrestling television show. And then they had very intense training with Mondo Guerrero, which was like, there's stories about him putting one of the girls in a sleeper hold day one until she passed out on the mat just to like prove a point about the seriousness
because that's
of what they
also
were
in the
doing.
80s when like wrestling was still protected. So like you
Yeah.
couldn't have these actresses coming in and thinking that they could just play wrestle.
Totally.
And so
And-
Mondo would
Oh.
he knocked one of them unconscious with a sleeper hold so that all the other girls in real life, this is what in the
This is
real
what
Glow.
happened. Oh, definitely. And
Yeah.
then they I mean, you watch these women and they go for it on the Real Glow. And there's a documentary about the women of Glow that's on Netflix now. And they talk about, they're like, oh, we were getting hurt. There were a lot of them are like, we never quite figured out how to do it and not get hurt. And that's something actually that even with us, there were points where you're doing the back bumps and even you'd nail it. You'd have your chin perfectly tucked and Chavo would be like, yes, it's just like that. And you'd be like, I mean, it kind of hurts. And he'd be like, oh, well, yeah, it's going to hurt. You're hitting the mat. It's just as long as it's hurting in this way and not in this bad way. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't do any, like, I know there was like the documentary and stuff, and I knew that this was completely fictionalized. And one of the reasons I didn't watch it, because I know that there was a character in that, or a couple of guys in the original that, you know, might have inspired my character, but I'm like, why do that to myself? Like, just, you know, build this guy from the ground up if it's a fictional character.
Right.
Yeah.
And not, you know, and the fact that like I said, I didn't need to know about wrestling as a character. I'm like, I just got to do what my instincts tell me to do. I didn't want to put it in my head.
I agree. I watched the documentary, which was actually really interesting just to hear all the women talk about their experience of working on Glow and just so I could get more of an idea of what a hit it was, like how quickly it landed with so many people. But similarly, then I did sort of distance myself. None of us, we get asked a lot if we were like meeting with the original cast of Glow, and they've been very supportive of our show. But we really weren't, because I think we didn't want to be stealing explicit details from their lives.
Right.
Ruth is her own character. We're not trying to imply that any of the women on that show, you know, slept
Yeah.
with a married
Right.
guy or did any stuff like that. So you wanted to kind of create your own person
Spoiler
from the
alert.
inside out.
Oh.
Not really.
It's a good spoiler, though. It's definitely worth seeing. It was a great scene.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Jimmy, you really committed to that scene. Like, look like you're really fucking him.
His eyes really lit up talking about my nude sex scene. I've never gotten such praise.
I like that. That it seems like this show, Orange is the New Black, as well. It's these female ensemble shows that are obviously telling female stories,
Yeah.
but then they'll throw nudity in as well. So it's like it'll
Yeah.
trick guys into watching to being like, yeah, it's a
It
dude
is, you
show,
know,
right?
Betty has sort of talked about that, the nudity and like our bodies and that sort of exploitation as being sort of the Trojan horse of this show, where we're like smuggling in real intimate stories about women's lives under the guise of like tits and ass and women wrestling.
I had to sign the nudity thing, like, you know, and I knew that if, like, after what she did, like, I had to be willing to be naked. And
Everyone
like,
on the show had to be willing
Yeah,
to be
and, like,
naked,
so
and you
I
never
was
kind of
like,
knew
I
when
guess
it was
it,
going to
okay.
pop
but I really
up.
had this thing where it's like, well, it's only fair. You know, but when it came down to the nude scene, I'm like, can we go no cock? Can we not do the cock? Like, I just don't.
Did you not do it?
Huh?
Did they honor your request or no?
Yeah, there's an ass shot, but I did have to walk around the set with a dumb cock sock
the
on.
cock sock.
You know, and
Is that
like,
optional, or did they you have to wear it?
I imagine it's optional, but like, I
You
just
could just show up without it.
I don't know. Like, it's a weird, dumb thing, but I just
is weird.
I was worried about my ass. I took selfies of my ass,
Yeah.
to make sure it looked all right before I did the ass shot.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want
I was
any,
in my room
and,
before my nude scene. I did those push-ups and crunches.
I just
Yeah.
didn't want any pimples or anything on my butt.
Yeah, I put a little
Yeah.
makeup on
yeah,
that
yeah,
butt.
I might need some ass makeup, but
That's
I
when
didn't.
you lose the essence of the character, because your character would probably not have the greatest ass in the world. But
Would, like,
at
not
that
care.
point, it's like, no,
Well,
I
I
don't.
didn't do any work on my ass. I just wanted to make sure that, like, once it does hit the internet, there's not people zooming in on the blemish.
Just like,
you
I
know,
always
just
figure
for
at
fun.
At this point in our career, if you're taking your clothes off, it's for a joke.
Yeah.
I will say I do like the way they use nudity in this show and on Orange is the New Black. It's sort of women taking ownership again of that nudity and not doing
Yeah.
it in a way that like you sort of catch people in nude moments or changing their clothes or whatever, and it's not sort of like, I look sexual and perfect in this moment of being naked.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
more sort of just realistic nudity,
Yeah.
which I like. Like
Yeah.
a person's changing their shirt and then you see their tits. It's not sort of like who changes their shirt and is like, just gonna hide those.
I got into a debate with my niece about Wonder Woman.
It's great.
No,
And the
it's about-
testimony begins.
About Wonder Woman. Like, she was all psyched to be empowered by it, but then she was questioning, like, why is she still in that costume?
But see, I think that is the whole point. Is like
Right.
a feminist women can be sexy and be empowered at the same time.
Yeah.
And she's such a strong woman, and it's an iconic Wonder
Sure.
Woman uniform costume.
Yeah.
Superman wears spandex.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah.
Women
You know,
don't want to
like
fuck
fitting.
Conan the Barbarian? Or Thor?
Right,
They're all
exactly.
good-looking, well-built people. That's what they do.
Yeah,
I think
they're
that it can
superheroes.
be both.
Yeah.
And that she's owning it. And it's not really done for men. She's not wearing that outfit and you're seeing guys ogle her.
Right.
They're more like looking at her in awe of her strength. And she happens to be wearing that outfit. I feel like that's like
I would
one
say
of the
half
number
men,
one
half
things.
of the men. Are,
That's the thing.
There's probably a percentage of men
I
who are
meant
like,
in the
oh,
movie.
yeah,
I meant the
fuck her."
characters in the movie.
She's fuckable.
I don't care how strong she is, I'll fuck her.
Yeah.
I'll let her lasso me.
Were you worried at all that the show would get cheesy? Because there's been very little done, save for maybe the movie The Wrestler. Any movie or TV show that centers around pro wrestling has been like historically the cheesiest
The weird thing is that they handled the period so meticulously and without campiness or irony.
Right.
Like there was no one waving around a giant phone like, see?"
Right.
It was just infused throughout. And the outfits, like I was alive and a grown person in 1986. Yeah, I wasn't hanging out with people that dressed like these women did.
Right.
But I knew it was there. Like there was it was almost like time travel for me. It didn't
Right.
seem that outlandish.
Right.
And I think that because they were all so earnest about the endeavor, that it doesn't come off as cheesy. It comes off as very intense, very powerful.
And it's
Like,
not all like on the nose 80s. Even some of your wardrobe is still holding on to the 70s. I feel like there's an eclectic group of looks, so you're not just like neon 80s explosion.
Madonna bracelets.
Oh, I dropped my Wham CD. These
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
will be together forever, huh?
Oh, I hear those winks at the camera that
Yeah.
they do.
None
They're
of it. We
fucking
didn't do
horrible.
any of that.
That's
Well,
good.
Yeah.
No, I think also just hearing that Genji Cohen was behind it. I wasn't
Yeah.
super familiar with Liz and Carly's work when I first got the script, but hearing that Genji was doing it, I was already like, oh, this will be kind of gritty and cool. And then reading the very first episode, you
Yeah.
could tell in the writing
Yeah.
How
that
did
it
you
was
end
really
up doing
nuanced. I, opposite of Mark, I got the script and heard about the idea and just became singularly obsessed with doing it, and then heard that they didn't think I was right for it at all and didn't really want to see me for the role.
Wow.
And then
Really?
my agents just called and hounded them, and finally I went in. I knew the casting director, Jen Houston. She had cast a film that I had done, and so she brought me in and put me on tape. And then I came in again for producers. Then I came in again and read with Betty. Then I came in again and read again with
Jeez.
Betty. And I won them the fuck over.
job.
That always
Holy
amazes
cow,
me.
that
People
is-
who they don't think are right for it, that like, no, I want to do this. Like, I admire that fucking
That's
the
amazing.
confidence that
Thank
you wanted
you.
it. That's
Especially not getting angry because you've done so much stuff and everybody knows you're great, and then to be like humble enough to go through that
I
process.
think part of it was them sort of testing me and being like, well, we wanted sort of maybe someone, the face that people haven't really seen, and they're familiar with me playing characters that are so
Right.
polished. And some of it I do think was like, I mean, sure, if she wants to go on tape for casting, and I was like, damn right, I'm going on tape for
for
casting.
you.
So you're not much different than you are in the in that opening.
Your
It
roots.
ended up 100%. It
the
ended
toilet.
up just being, yeah, I think that my own desperation was coming through the more I auditioned, that they just couldn't unsee it. And they were like, she is the character.
That's great. Good
Yeah.
for you.
I can't
Thank
believe
you.
I can't believe you're doing Glow and The Disaster Artist in the same year, because those are probably my two favorite things.
Oh
is
my God. We're just
wrestling in the
targeting
room.
You.
So yeah,
You're our
yeah.
target
I'll be on
audience.
board with your projects going forward.
Thank you. Thank
yeah.
you.
Are you
What's
excited
the-
about The Disaster
that?
Artist? Is the movie about the making of The Room, Tommy
Oh.
Wiseau's masterpiece. Were you?
Yeah.
Masterpiece.
Yeah.
Oof.
Were you excited about
Yeah.
the movie coming out?
Definitely.
I don't even know what to ask about. I mean, were you? I'm assuming you were a big fan of The Room before.
No, not at all.
Very unique
I had
group
no
of people.
idea.
The
I-
Room fans.
Yeah.
I mean, I remembered, I had never seen The Room, but I remembered those billboards of Tommy
course.
Wiseau's face. that were up all over Los Angeles and like haunting my dreams. And, but I never saw the movie. And then my husband, Dave, who stars in the movie, he had been doing research for months and read the book, The Disaster Artist, which the movie is based on, written by Greg Sestero, who's the other lead actor in the room.
Of course.
And it's all about his experience meeting Tommy and their friendship. It's a really sweet, kind of odd success story. So anyway, we had like listened to the book on tape before I had ever seen The Room. I heard the whole behind the scenes stories and like learned all about this guy, Tommy Wiseau. And then,
which I've said for a long time, the book, I don't usually do book on tape, but that book on tape is the best because Greg Sestero does the best Tommy Wiseau impression.
He does an amazing Tommy impression. So this is like all I knew about Tommy was Greg Sestero doing Tommy. And then Davey was like, you got to watch the movie. So we bought it and we watched it at home. And like 5 minutes in, I'm like, I got to have a drink or smoke some weed or something. Like, I can't watch this totally sober. But it's kind of an amazing movie.
Yeah, it's
Did
amazing.
you feel the acting was a bit lackluster in it, though?
Just low energy.
What do you mean, Jimmy?
not up to snuff.
Right.
It's done so in earnest.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
The passion. And you're just like, what is happening?
And James Franco plays Tommy Wiseau and directed it, right?
And that was very bizarre.
He stayed in character the whole time?
Yes. So he's directing you and he has this like vaguely Eastern European accent and like long hair and facial prosthetics on.
Jeez.
It was strange.
Yeah.
It was
I
very
had-
strange.
Is he like that? Sorry, Sam. Is he like
go
that when he
ahead.
does a movie typically, where is he like method where he'll stay in, or did he just
I
for
don't
this?
know.
Like in Pineapple Express?
I don't know. I feel like Tommy, the character is such an overpowering presence and the accent is so strange. I understand why you would want to stay in it.
How about
in the
that guy he
mode.
played in that Harmony Korine movie? What was? Remember that?
Oh,
Spring Breakers?
Spaceman. What was
Oh,
that guy's
Spring
name?
Breakers.
He had to stay in that.
Alien, yes.
He had the
I
hair.
love that
I
movie
love
too.
that movie.
Did he really do his hair like that? I think he did, right?
Yeah,
In
man.
cornrows,
So,
yeah. I
You
had
can't
a,
He
fake
had to
that.
stay in character. They're not coming out.
Well, I had to say, I had my hair cut and permed for this show, and I was just living a 1985 life for the 3.5 months
With
that we
those
shot
pants.
it.
Those jeans.
Mark really
frizzy.
hated my jeans.
I don't know if
Why?
I hated them. They were just the ones that she would just wear offset, like as character. No, I mean
the one
when
just
she
wears
wasn't
them
I
home.
like my own jeans. No,
no,
you
when
mean
she
my
was
character
not in wrestling
jeans.
character, she
All right.
would wear the same pair of pants. I wore the same pants the entire shoot.
Me too.
And they were these like mom jeans, these like waist stonewashed things
Yeah.
she would walk around in.
I didn't learn until we started doing press for the show how much Mark hated
I don't
these
know if I
jeans.
hated them. I just was
You
like,
hated it. You've just been like, how was anyone getting laid in the 80s wearing jeans like that? How can I fucking fantasize about you when you're in those jeans?
that's my character. My character,
I understand.
not real Mark.
I was going to tell
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I had Tommy Wiseau up here and interviewed him for like an hour.
Oh, my
once.
God.
And I know that you find his accent to be Eastern European, but he informed me he's from New Orleans.
That's right. That's
He's-
right. I
he's
know.
American.
Yes, he sounds like it's the weirdest thing being from New Orleans.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah. It's like
strange.
Cajun accent. That's what he's got.
That's all it is.
So is it a put-on European accent? or-
No,
It's
he's
a
pretending to be
mystery.
American. I believe he's
okay.
pretending that he's American because he funded his movie through his business, which was called Street Fashions USA.
That's a very
And-
good name.
Very mysterious character. Nobody knows his age.
No.
Nobody knows his place of origin. It's like
Right.
How many
he's
people care?
mysterious.
Yeah.
They're making a movie
Care.
about it.
We made a movie about it.
I
No,
hope
I mean,
people
like
care.
I know all about The Room, but I've never watched it.
I've never seen
I've
it
never
either.
seen it either.
I
You
You
want to
gotta
see
go see
it.
it in a theater.
Oh my
You
god!
I need to see it in a theater with an audience,
Yeah.
but you got it. Just imagine it's just like the strangest collection of scenes. There's no
Just
rhyme
thrown
or
together.
reason. There's men in tuxedos throwing a football around on a rooftop. Like it's
I've
just sort
seen
of like,
that scene. I felt the football was out of
why?
place.
You thought
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, I did. It was a
That's
little out of place.
interesting.
you had questions about some of the choices.
Yeah, some of the authenticity I didn't feel was there in
Yeah.
the scene choices.
Right. I understand.
Yeah.
Mark, do you think you're going to do more acting now? Because everybody's talking about both of you on this show.
Oh,
But like, I think
well, it's
people.
something I always
They
wanted to do.
are
It was one of those
saying
things where
specifically.
I think I figured out how to do it in a basic way, doing my show for 4 seasons.
Right.
I want to do more, but I don't want to. I'm not going to be learning Russian accents or anything.
Right.
Like if it's in my wheelhouse, like this guy Sam. The reason I wanted to do him so badly is that I could identify with the character, but he is different than me in that he's not neurotic in any way. He doesn't. He's not self-analytical. So like it was almost like a relief. I'm like, I can just shut that shit off and just be sort of an unashamed, asshole struggling to be and haphazardly becoming a better person. So yeah, I'd like to do more acting. I'd like to challenge myself. Like if we do another season of this, I keep thinking about it. Because I haven't studied acting that much, but like I did interview Martin Landau, and in my last, on the podcast, I've done some interviews with actors, and now I really get into like tips and the process.
I like hearing that.
Yeah, and I've talked to a
You're
lot
connecting with them as actors. You're
right.
like,
Yeah, I'm like, give me some more. Like, can you help me out? Because I got to do this thing.
You're right.
So I think if I do another season, I do want to challenge myself somehow and just like the craft of it, or however I can wrap my brain around doing things that would make me better at it.
It's an amazing thing about your podcast, though, that you can, for sure, that you can get these people in and just kind of that you would never get to talk to, and then just ask them for advice on whatever shit that you need, whatever you got going on.
I think that was the reason I did the podcast. It's just to have celebrities over to help me with my problem, and that's how I got my style.